So we have Skip Hicks. He played for UCLA, running back, 93 to 97.
Yes.
He is a record holder in most touchdowns in a season, 26. Overall touchdowns in your college career, 55 to 57. When I looked it up, I thought it was 55, but we'll give you 57.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll give it to you.
Had a lot against SC. So
these are two big men playing the NFL, and the next big man is Billy Miller. No Billy well.
I need you to, before we start, I need my stats to be bumped. You gave him 2 touchdowns. My stats will not be close to that, so I need them elevated.
But you had more years in the NFL.
You gave him a lot of stuff that just happened right there. So
See, I told you. I warned you before we started the way this was going to go.
Okay,
all right,
go ahead. I'm going to just listen first.
So Billy Miller played for
what teams?
USC.
The USC,
yes. The USC.
Yes, absolutely.
And you guys were contemporaries, right? You were a wide receiver at USC.
I was.
Between 95 and 98.
99 was
Okay.
the year I got drafted, so that ended season. And then my last 4 years I was in New Orleans with the Saints.
So you guys, did you ever play
Yes.
against? Okay.
Yeah.
Very
And my recruiting trips from Westlake High School, I remember seeing this young man play. And although we do talk a lot of mess to each other, I am constantly bragging on Skip. I think that it's unfortunate that some of the younger kids that we coach together don't realize what a fantastic football player he was. He went to the wrong school, but that has nothing to do with the fact that he was a phenomenal football player. You know, once you get back to the basics and you realize how blessed you are, you will to absolutely have the opportunity to play in the NFL and get back on track. It was a phenomenal experience. It was also a very trying. It speaks to your character, who you are as a man. It speaks to your adversity. It speaks to how you handle the good, the bad, and the ugly. It is the ultimate test of character. Not only the game of football, which I firmly believe is a test of character, but being in that lifestyle is a tremendous test of character. It's hard to stay grounded when, listen, football is the biggest sport in America, and it's not even close. And to have the ability to have the talent early on and then to continue to carry it, it's interesting. It's interesting how others perceive you. It's interesting how then you therefore start perceiving yourself. So it was interesting.
I've heard and I've read that I guess the longevity of an NFL career is 2.5 or 3.5 years or something like that.
It moves. It was 3.
Okay.
3.
But it's
2.
short-lived.
It's very short. Yeah.
It's a short-lived career, and both of you are over 5. You're into 8. You're into 10. And so I got a buddy who I worked with in the past. His name's Colby Lewis. He's a pitcher for the Texas Rangers. And one time we were talking about just his career and everything, and he said when he made it to the big leagues, he said something that just stuck with me. He said, making it to the big leagues was one of the hardest things I ever did, but staying here is by far harder.
I mean, just real quick to speak to that, I know Skip was talking, but what we don't understand as a college kid going in the NFL is you're there to take a grown man's job. You're there to take food off of someone's table, literally, right? In order for me to make the team, they have to cut someone. And most likely they're going to cut someone who has been there. And that, like for me, right, as you get older, and I'm sure for Skip, as you get older, and he's in the draft, I watched the draft. Like, okay, who is it? Who's coming to take the food off my plate? And then that became motivation, right? Like they bring in a new group of guys every Tuesday to work out to make the team. And in order for one of those guys to make the team, either someone got hurt or they're about to cut somebody. And it is a competitive, a relentless, zero loyalty. Yeah. It is just about winning, right? Which isn't necessarily, I'm saying, is a bad thing, but at any cost. And when you're over 30 and you tear your Achilles and then you try to go back and play at that level, it was impossible. My body didn't recuperate the same. You're just not 22 or 23 years old anymore, where your body just figures it out. And so I think I started getting calls the next season, and I had to be honest with myself at that point and say, you're going to be a fool if you go out there. Like Skip knows this term, is that there's a lot of old guys that we say are stealing, right? You see them all the time in the league. Like the old dude, like you're only on the team because you're like cool with the coach's wife. Like you're terrible. Like you're old. Like stop playing. And I had this image in my head that I was going to be that guy. Before that, I could always step on the field and prove to everyone I deserved to be there. And then there came that point where I was like, I'm going to be the guy that's stealing. And it's a lot of money to steal, don't get me wrong. But I was just going to be there because they felt bad for me. I couldn't play at the same level anymore. So I made the decision.
He played that many years in the NFL. And the year that his team wins the Super Bowl, he stood on the sideline on crutches.
Yep.
And so that was a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, for that, like Skip as well, you play from your 7 years old to get to high school, then to college, and then when you make it to the NFL, now there's only one goal, right, to win the Super Bowl. So to play at that time and then to get to a point where, and my, the Saints were like undefeated too. I mean, it wasn't like, this was a run, like this is going to happen. And I think for me, that year started my depression. It started me down a path of depression is the word I'm going to use, but it was bad. And I think then when I retired, we were working together. I was still depressed. I thought I could surround myself with certain people to make me feel better. I thought I could throw money at things to make me feel better. I thought that I could do a lot of things that, like, it'll just fix itself. But to be honest with you, my transition from the NFL was terrible. I stayed depressed for years. Like, I may now just have a handle on it. I think now, there was, I didn't watch a football game until last year. I couldn't even watch a game. And not because I felt like I should be out there. It hurt, right? Like, it was just something that you don't know. This part of what I hope we're talking about is you no longer know who you are.
Yeah, it's identity.
You really have
you don't
no
realize
clue
how much your identity is wrapped in something. So
this idea of transitioning for professional athletes, and when I say this, I literally mean it. I've probably talked 5 guys off a bridge. Like, it's a real issue, right? Like, it's something that is not like isolated to race. It's not isolated to financial. It's not. This is something that is a real thing. And I think what happens is, right, for me, you play in NFL and you even, sometimes I was a starter, but I'm at the pinnacle of everything, right? You are a celebrity, you're everything. And I think when you get done, you try to equal that success with something. I want an equal amount of success. I want an equal amount of celebrity. I want an equal amount of money. I want an equal amount. And I think for me, you're chasing the grandiose picture, right? You're chasing this. I have to be a CEO in a month, right? I have to make $1 million in 6 days. You're chasing this idea because you're trying to equal it to what you just came from. And I think for me, in talking to guys and what has helped me, I need small victories. I need small wins. I need to have one win a day. What is that? It could be literally, it started off with, today I'm going to do them dang dishes. Just today. And I'm going to win. I'm going to win at something today. Because when you're chasing that big idea, you are losing every day.
You have more failure in life.
Every day you're losing, right? Yeah, because you woke up, you're not the CEO. You go to bed, I'm still not the CEO. You lost, right? Because that's the only idea you have. So for me, it was a transition of getting small wins. I had to get to a place where I could say I accomplished something today. And that helped me with my own personal depression. It helped me become kind of whole again, because I think when you transition from something, just like I can imagine that CEO, that, okay, you're the CEO of a company, now you're going to deliver the mail. Oh, he must be going absolutely crazy, right? He probably feels he knows everything. He probably, right? And then for me, it was the same thing. Why am I not successful? I'm super smart. I know everything. I'm strong. I'm this. I'm like all of these things that you identify yourself with. And that would be my advice, is to find something that there's small wins. Find something that you can get small victories every day, because when you lay down at night, you can feel accomplished in that, right?
Yeah. The human heart is bent on a meaning, purpose, and knowing that you're accomplishing things in life.
Yeah.
So let me ask you guys this. We've talked about a lot of different things, and one of the things, Core 4 Power, is about equipping people to harness the power of 4 core energy systems. That is their faith, their fitness, their family, and their finances, in order to live a fully engaged life. Out of those 4 core areas, faith, fitness, family, finances, Billy, which one would you say is the one you harness the most power in, that affects the most?
That's tough because obviously, right, like your first initial like gut reaction is to say faith, right? Like that's natural, right? And we had a conversation about being authentic, right? And I would say my faith is a ginormous part of my power, but to be honest with you, it's my family, right? I think for me, Skip said it too. I'm cool at a bunch of things. I'm a great dad, right? Like my kids empower me every day, whether I'm mad at them, it doesn't matter. Just to know that I'm watching and I'm helping and I'm along for this journey with them. Everything that I tend to do, right? So we work because we have to, but I want to make enough money that I can pay for him to go to Stanford if he can't get a scholarship. Like watching, I never thought I'd like girls softball ever in my life. Right now, I think it's like watching my daughter play. I'm so empowered because they don't care whether or not I play in the NFL. They could care less what I did. They just want to know what and how are you doing today. And that
you care for them.
That's it, right? And there's no judgment. I would. I mean, listen. Every area is going to have its peaks. Like, right? We can talk about faith, and we can do that for another 20 minutes. We can talk about finances, right? Which, as a man, right, like it absolutely drives me to. And it's not necessarily I need to make a certain amount of money. It's just I want to be successful, which then brings a certain amount of money. But when you talk about what drives me, absolutely, it's my kids. Even like now, right? Me and Skip coach together, and you were coaching. I don't know what happened. You left, and then like you're holding out for more money. But
I gotta go.
It's the podcast.
I'm walking behind you, clean up all the messes.
That's true, which is a lot. But I think even right, like people ask me all the time, what do you do for a living? And I tell them, right, and then all of a sudden it's, what are you passionate about? Completely different, right? I'm passionate about coaching kids. I'm passionate about youth sports. I'm passionate about, I mean, it like there is something that is built up before practice, before a game, and this is not football. This could be my son's in the pool. It could be my daughter in the softball field, things I know nothing about. It brings a certain level of that emotion that I may have missed when I played the NFL. It's empowering.
And so what I'm hearing from you, that when you are intentional about your fatherhood, intentional about your parenting, that matters. You have to be intentional about how you father a child. And I just did a podcast a while back, and the things that I've learned. And so I'm hearing from you that you have an agreement that being intentional in fatherhood, you draw power and purpose in life from that.
Yeah, and for me, like you said, being intentional, there's such joy in it, right? Like there's so much into it, right? Even when you have a conversation with your child, even when you get to a point where you have to discipline your child, right? And another podcast, but my upbringing was all over the place, I'll just say, right? But now being able to say, I know that maybe if I try this different with my kid, I'll get a different result than maybe I had. Or, I could go on forever, but I love it. I think my parenting and my kids mean the world to me, and they've done a lot to save my life. You can do it one way, or you can do it my way. Okay. And my way is life to the fullest, and I think that means everything.
Can it be all four? Can it be your faith, your fitness,
listen, once the faith part is there, everything else can fall into place. There's nothing else once you can solidify that first one, then everything falls into place. And
if you were to give the audience your one favorite book and or any other resources that you could recommend them to, what would be?
I was just going to say,
you about to cheat. That's why you so cheating. I loved it. I loved it. And Alchemist.
Okay, and The Alchemist. I have not read The Alchemist, and shame on me because it's been referred.
You got to be ready to read The Alchemist, though. You have to be you have to be someone that can read a book and look for the deeper meaning. It's not just like Jack and Jill went up the hill. Meaning, right? Like you have to find out what it means for you. But anyway,
Coach Skip, what is one personal discipline that you practice on a regular basis? that is effective for your life? What is one personal discipline?
One personal discipline that I practice every day.
On a regular basis.
On a regular basis. I know this sounds simple, but it ain't really that simple. Every day I wake up and I stay focused on what I'm supposed to do that day.
Okay.
And like I said, I know it sounds simple, but it's really not. You know, if whatever I have to do that day, as far as, okay, this is my plan for that day from beginning to end, I stay focused and I start that day on what I'm going to start and I finish the day.
Intentional focus on planning a day and being accomplished by the end of it.
Yes, I finish the day.
That's good. That's good. Billy, what would be a personal discipline that you practice on a regular basis?
Well, again, sounds crazy or not crazy, but simple, but I have a conversation with God.
Okay.
I don't pray. I have a conversation with God.
That's good.
I think that for me, when you talk about the things that I've been through from, the depression that we talked about earlier, or trying to be a good father, or whatever it is you're trying to do, I think for me is I have to have a conversation. Okay. This is, I'm hurting today. Okay. This is where I'm at. And I feel that it's a two-way conversation. And I think that it helps me.
What is a piece of advice that somebody in your life has given you that you would like to share with our audience that's stuck with you throughout your days?
Don't worry about things you can't control. I tell myself that every day. Every day.
Don't worry about things you can't control.
Yeah, because they'll drive you crazy.
So why do you worry about tomorrow when today has enough troubles of its own?
Yes.
Gosh, ain't that the truth?
What about you, Billy?
It sounds crazy. So I remember I was playing basketball. My dad came up to me and he was like, "You know what? What are you doing?" Right? And I was like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "You need to play Billy ball." Right? Let me explain to you. My dad was telling me to be authentic. Be me, right? Don't emulate someone else. Be you. Being you is enough, right? And this was, I don't know, maybe my sophomore year in high school, but it stuck with me about being authentic. Just not saying, well, he did this, so let me, not that you can't look at things and learn, but being true to myself and being authentic is something that is stuck with me.
It has to do with legacy. What's the legacy you want to live in your life or leave with your life? Billy Miller.
My legacy. Quickly, my legacy is born. They're my children, right? Part of my legacy is them. How I raise these children, what they become is part of our legacy as a father. But to be honest, I think same thing as my dad. I'd like to be authentic. I'd like people to be like, you know what? I didn't agree with everything he said. I didn't like everything he said. I may have not even liked him, but he was real. He was. This is who he was, right? And to be able to. It's hard sometimes to be authentic, right? It's very hard. It's hard to tell people the truth all the time, even though it's going to hurt them and you, right? But I'd like to just be just a guy that was authentic, a guy that was real, a guy that just I didn't walk around and try to be something that I thought I was supposed to be. This is who I am. I'm vulnerable. I'm emotional. This is who I am. This is the way I think. And not that I'm not trying to change those ideologies, but I think at the same time, this is really me. And be able to express that to people and hope that they can get something from it.
Mr. Miller, known you a little bit longer, and what I can tell you is I want to affirm just that God has gifted you with just an amazing, charismatic personality that brings life into a room. Your laugh, your sense of humor, keeping things light, not being afraid to challenge somebody, but yet not take it personal and move through life in a way where you're kind of like a King David. You got a lot of stuff.
Yes. 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 Okay, go.
Yes. All the interview came to that moment,
yes.
Right? And I see King David with a lot of flaws, but I also see, when I read about King David, just the purity of his heart.
Love him. I love King David.
And you
so
have
happy
that, brother.
That. Absolutely.
And so I appreciate that about you and our friendship with both you guys. Very good, very good. Mr. Miller, last closing words.
Kind of get in. I mean, we could have got really deep into some stuff, but I'd say from my personal standpoint, man, just keep fighting, right? Like this journey is just that. It's a journey. There's going to be ups and downs and everything in between, and just keep fighting, right? Like, there's always a light. Even sometime when that train is so far away you can't see it, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And I think if we just keep fighting, stay focused, Absolutely.
Oh, Billy, tell people how they can connect with you.
My tweeter. No, I'm just joking. To be honest with you, I'm trying to slow down on social media. When I used to play, I had it, but I think my Instagram is BillyMiller_83.
Skip Hicks, Billy Miller, signing off. Thank you for checking in.
Is it down or is it
It's
up?
down. You can snap it. There's all kinds of
Here?
things.
Okay. Boom. That was better.
You all weren't in the military, so I'll let you.